welcome to another brand new episode here on Sunnyside Up Farms. And as you can see, I've cocked up in the first 3 seconds. So I had to go, I was busy baling the field and I had to go and refuel, and obviously got back and realised that as I drove off I didn't switch the baler back on. Anyway, how are you all doing today? Hope you're all well, hope you're all good. The cold, well, you know, it's still there. Week 2. James is still suffering from cold and sore throat. Yeah. My ex was from Yorkshire. She was from Leeds, and I used to do terrible Yorkshire accents because it used to wind her up. It's probably why she's my ex now. I must admit, I'm one of these kind of sort of practical joker kind of, you know, have a bit of a laugh and a bit of a giggle. She's just more miserable, you know. But as I say, hence the reason why she's probably my ex now. Let's just say that sense of humour versus no sense of humour doesn't mix, because I find everything funny and she doesn't. You know, so anyway, let's crack on with the episode, because I do tend to get calmed by this computer game if I start talking about it. So we'll crack on. So as you can see, we've baled this field, we've baled all the other 2 fields as well. I have on the first field also done a little bit of sort of making sure everything's okay, testing in terms of taking the bales to the sell point and selling the bales, and thankfully everything seems to be working as it should. I didn't expect that it wouldn't, but it's always good to test before, you know, we do these sort of things, because we don't want to end up with egg on our face. But yeah, so as I say, we've got the baling done. The main reason I've done most of the baling off camera is because I forgot to press record. No, it's part of the reason why I did most of it off camera. The actual main reason why I wasn't meant to leave so much of it done. I was meant to leave this field completely not done, so that we baled this field together in a time lapse. But like I say, I forgot to turn the bloody camera on, didn't I? But the main reason why I didn't do all of it was because in the last couple of episodes on other series we've been doing a lot of you know, sort of baling and bale carting and stuff like that. So, you know, I just kind of figured, look, I won't show me doing, you know, all 3 fields, but what I will show is, and I've just realised something, half of my bales, so they're like that, but they're like that. Why are they like that? They wasn't like that when I went and got. Now that's weird, and I'll tell you the reason why that's weird is because I went off because I had to get diesel. And I went off to get diesel. Well, when I first went to get diesel, the game, for whatever reason, the game crashed. It's never happened before, ever, on this map, or any other map, really, to be fair, but on this map, the only time I've ever had issues is if I've cut down the oak trees, because I keep forgetting not to. So there's a tree in my way, it's an oak tree, I'll have that. Next time you come to load the game won't load. What, why? Oh shoot, I cut down a freaking tree, didn't I? So the only issue I've had with this game, with this map, is if I cut down the oak trees. Otherwise, I've had absolutely no issue. But for some reason, I got to the, you know, the petrol station near the store. I filled up my tractor there. Well, it was halfway through filling up, and then the game just crashed. For no real reason, the game just crashed. I had a look in the log. There was nothing in the log, but my game just shut down, just went off, which was really odd. Funnily enough, when I came back to the game, I expected it to reload it in where the last time it auto-saved, and it didn't. It actually loaded it in at the fuel station, and I just had to finish refueling my tractor. Now I've got back and realised all my bales have flipped upside down. I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there. I'm going to tell you how I became the bale magician. A vintage oaks, that bit didn't rhyme, but anyway, don't worry about that bit. Anyway, we'll get back in the old David Brown. Absolutely love this tractor on this game. As I say, when I started off my farming career, not only when I was a small boy, helping David and Mary out while Mum was at work, picking bulbs for them and driving their little David Browns up and down the field, putting boxes out at the age of, I don't know, I think it was about 7 or 8, something like that. Wasn't very old. And then when I got to the first farm, I got to work on the first farm. The little David Brown was where I used to do all my grassland work. So the David Browns would do all of the sort of pasture work. So they would cut the grass. You know, Ted, if we were gonna, you know, make hay or whatever. And we would do it all on the David Browns because the paddocks, you know, they had fences around the outside. Some of them were quite tight gateways. We couldn't get our bigger tractors in there, so you know, we had a fleet of David Browns that we used to do sort of our smaller work on, because the farm, as I've said before, it's, you know, I think it's just over 1,000 acres. It's a small family farm. Yes, a lot of the business has moved up to modern times. They've got, you know, every sort of about 4 or 5 years have a brand new combine. You know, same with the tractors. You know, every sort of 4 or 5 years, you know, we have brand new tractors and we have new tractors and what have you. But the other side of the farm is still, it is what the boss used to call the vintage side of the farm. So we used to do a lot of our smaller fields with the vintage stuff because people in the village like to see it. We like driving it. You know, I mean, my little go-around tractor was a Ford Super Major, Ford Super Dexter, sorry. And that was my sort of run-around tractor. You know, that was where you know, if we had to go to the parts place to get parts, or you know, if we had to go, you know, somewhere into the village or whatever, I would take that. That was my little works vehicle. And it was absolutely fantastic, and it was mint. You know, it was properly restored, it was sprayed, it was mint tractor. Absolutely used to love driving that. Yeah, it was just a fabulous tractor to drive. And then, as I say, the smaller fields, you know, we would use the David Browns, we would use the cases. We had a couple of case internationals that you know, we would use, you know, ploughing. Instead of doing it on the big John Deere that I had, I would do it on the Track Marshall with the 6-foot reversible semi-mounted plough. Absolutely loved using that. Funnily enough, actually, the crawler, I mean, I can drive a tractor in a straight line, that's no problem. Don't need GPS, that's no problem. But the crawler, for whatever reason, I could drive that in an absolute perfect dead straight line. And I've never really sort of been able to figure out why. But that tractor, I literally, honestly, it was brilliant. You would set it on its, so what we used to do, the way I had it set up was I widened slightly the wheel on the plough. I'll show you in a second because we're going back to the farm now, because we're going to pick these up. And I'll show you the plough that we've got. It's not the same as what I had at work, but the wheel on it is pretty much the same as what I had on the first farm, right on the back of my little Track Marshall crawler. Now then, I think it's in here. It's not. I've got it on the tractor already because we're going to do some ploughing in the coming episodes. So the wheel was pretty much like that. The only difference was it had a bar that came round, like a protector bar that came round it, and but it was on a very similar thing, but it was sort of it was connected on. No, I think it was like that. I think that's how it was. But what I did was I took that where it connects. I took that. Hang on, let's just bring it down. Giants don't believe in gravity, so I have to start the engine to bring that down. But in real life, you don't have to start the engines to lower the plows down on the ground. The only thing with that is that you can press your hitch button down, and the arms will fall, obviously, because they're under weight and gravity. so they will fall, but you have no speed control, so they will just, sometimes they will just smack into the ground, so you don't really want to be doing it, but at the same time you can do it that way. But yeah, so if I get my mouse up, so this bit here, what I did was I extended it ever so slightly out, so you might not need to do it on that one. That one looks as if it has already been sort of fairly extended, but the one on my trail plough was quite tight to the plough, so I extended it out, if you like, a bit like that, or maybe where the sort of concrete edge to that grill is, out to there. And what that used to mean was, when I turned around the other way, my track would run down that concrete edge into that grill, and because that was the wheel mark that had been left by the depth wheel, which is what that is, it's for a depth wheel for the back, so it basically acts as a top link to the back, really, so you can control your depth. My track would run down that wheeling mark, and I knew that I was the exact distance apart from the furrow that I needed to be, because you plough on top with it, for it all to match up sort of perfectly and what have you. So I basically positioned that wheel so that my track every single time would run in that wheel, and you could put the crawler on that mark, let go of the levers, and just drive down the field, and you would have an absolutely dead straight line. Honestly, it was like a dead straight line. You didn't even have to, because with the wheel tractors, if you don't plough that first breed through the field dead straight, you ain't going to be straight thereafter. You're going to be always chasing your ass across that field. You just oh, excuse my French, I meant tail. You know, you're just going to be chasing it the whole time. But yeah, if you you know, with the crawler, if you set it on that line, then it was you know, not guarantee, but you would drive 99 times out of 100 in a dead straight line, and it was brilliant. I used to love using the crawler. My granddad used it many years before me, and as a little boy I used to go for a ride on it and what have you, and just fantastic, absolutely fantastic. It was a real pleasure to, as I say, to use, and I just really, you know, really enjoyed it. Right, thankfully we've got eggs that are starting to come in, but I don't know why these are not producing eggs the same as the other one. I mean, the health's 100%. They've got food, got a lot of food actually. Thankfully we have now harvested as well, so we've now should hopefully have enough food for the rest of the year. But we'll unstrap all of this, get these off, and then we'll start loading our bales. Anyway, yeah, so as I say, but yeah, I love you know, sort of the first farm using the I've left the bloody strap on. You don't want to say that in the wrong bloody place. Alright. Get that off there. You can see I went quiet there because I had to concentrate. I can't concentrate and talk at the same time. This is not possible. Alright, let's get them off. But yeah, so as I say, I used to love using the vintage stuff on the farm, doing the jobs, the ploughing and the mowing, and we used to do sugar beet hoeing with it as well. We used to hoe all of our sugar beet with the David Browns and stuff. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. I mean, don't get me wrong, when I moved to the second farm and you drive in, you know, top of the range bloody Challengers and everything like that, don't get me wrong, that was, you know, pretty awesome too. But just sometimes it was nice to go back to the way as a kid I used to watch my granddad do everything, you know, using the track Marshall crawler, using the David Browns, using the, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's just nice to just go back and appreciate where farming had come from. Hence the reason for my 1950s series. If you haven't seen that, go check that out. I think you would enjoy that if you enjoy older machinery and stuff like that. But yeah, so like it was nice to sort of do that. But as I say, once I got to the second farm, the big farm that I worked on, then that was that was pretty awesome, using the challengers and the big combines and stuff like that. It was pretty good doing that as well. But yeah, I wanted to actually so as you know, I like to do every now and again, I like to do a little chatty video, usually around about half hour, 45 minutes long, what have you. I like to do a chatty video. And I thought today, we haven't had one for a while. I'll do that while I'm doing the bales on Sunny Side Up. So, and I then sort of have to try and think of funny stories, that have happened, sort of on the farm. Obviously, to make the videos sort of half enjoyable and interesting enough to sort of listen to. Anyway, I on FS22 the other day, so I'm sort of playing, as I've said before, a game sort of on there. Actually, we'd be better off loading them from this side. Now, the reason why I say that, and again, as I always say, I'm not saying this is right. I'm just saying this is how I do it, and this is why I do it this way. From this side of the cab, I can see down this side. So when I come to load the next one, I will be directly in front of that bale, which means I'll be able to see whether I'm going to hit it or miss it in theory. Whereas if I were loaded it the other side, well, I wouldn't. I would always be furthest away from the side of the bale. So I would be much more likely to crash into it and, whatever, than if I just loaded it from this way. So that's the reason why I said I'm the wrong side. But like I say, a lot of people probably would disagree with me, and a lot of people would probably do it a completely different way, and that's fine, because I'm not very good at bale loading. But that's just how, if I was doing it on the farm, that's how I would do it, and that's the reason why I would do it that way. Anyway, yeah, so on FS22 I was laying down fence. I was fencing. So on the actual River Bend Springs that save game that I'm doing, I haven't really talked about it much in the actual episodes, because there's not really any point at the moment, because we're so far away from it that it isn't going to happen for such a long time. But I've got massive expansion plans for that series. I mean, it might end up being one of those series that we just continually play. I don't know. All I know is that everything I've got planned for it ain't going to be happening in, like 50 episodes or 100 episodes or whatever. It's going to be a long haul thing, But yeah, I've got loads of expansion plans. Well, obviously, I need to I basically got a save set up so that I can't see the bale, and that's because I've put that one in front. You see, I shouldn't have done that. I should have loaded 3 or 4 to the back, and then done sort of side the next one, and then done it like that, just so that I could actually see them then. Yeah, so I've got loads of expansion plans, and I was putting down a fence, and it suddenly made me think of a story that, or not, but something that happened on the farm. So I've told you before, like the second farm I worked on, it was a big farm, and in the summer months, like all big farms, we had a lot of temporary harvest staff and workers, like just general workers that would just do stuff around a farm. So some workers would, some people that we would employ, they would just drive farm trucks and deliver diesel or food or whatever to the lads, to us lads that were out in the field, and that's what they did. They just delivered stuff to us. As I say, diesel, food, drinks, whatever, parts, whatever, they would deliver it to us. And then you would have others that would be estate workers. So they would, look after all the farms, look after all the houses, look after all the buildings, and any building that needed doing, any whatever needed doing, that's what they did. Now we had 8 full-time builders, and then we used to, in the summer months, we used to get or even in the winter months, if we were busy building sheds, and because we used to build everything ourselves, we never had firms in to build our sheds or anything like that. All of our stores and grain stores and potato stores were all bought. The materials were all bought, and we built them ourselves rather than having a firm in. And I'm not much of a sort of builder, DIYer sort of type person. So yes, it's true, I didn't really... Oh dear, this is going to go wrong. Just get off that one. I knew I should have strapped them down. I kept telling myself, James, just strap them down, mate, because you're not that good. Right, if we can just nudge it round, can I? Ooh. Yeah, that'll do. And now I will. Now the horse has bolted, I'll close the gate. Anyway, yeah, so as I say, I didn't sort of really get involved too much in the building side of things. Obviously with the heart condition, some jobs were very heavy and what have you, but I would drive the forklift. So if lorries would come in, say with bricks or whatever it was that I would unload the lorries and what have you. And we had 2 lorries on the farm, so in general we used to sort of try and fetch our own materials. But sometimes if they were selling grain or potatoes or whatever, our 2 lorries would be out doing that, and then so firms would obviously deliver them in for us. So I would deliver, as I say, this I would unload the lorries, and the other lads, as I say, would work would work on building what we were doing, sort of thing. And it was really good. I always remember it was one summer, it was not long before harvest, and there was always sort of that period for me where, because as I said before, my main job was ploughing. That I was the sort of ploughman on the farm, and no one ever did try and nick my lunch, which is a standing joke apparently. I, to be fair, didn't realise, but yeah, apparently that's a standing joke that oh, you did it, being the ploughman, did people try and nick your lunch? No, it's not school, it's work. People are a little bit more grown up. But apparently it's a standing joke where the people nick the ploughman's lunch, like the pickles and the pork pie and different shit like that, stuff like that. Sorry, I've sworn again, I do apologise. And yeah, so but anyway, this one summer I gets to work. There wasn't much ploughing going on, which, as I say, did happen. There was a point in the summer where that did happen, in the early part of the summer, where, as I say, there was not much ploughing, there was not much sort of groundwork left to do. If I wasn't on a sprayer, which I wasn't always, I used to help out if one of the spraying lads, was not there, or if they were on holiday or not very well, or whatever. But in general, spraying was something, again, that I didn't really do. Oh dear, I'm terrible at rolling these over. Oh dear. This is going to go terribly, terribly wrong now. Come on. And I gets to work one day, and Adrian says to me, we had this lad, right? He was a good lad. Matthew, his name was. He was a good lad. He was only temporary, so he wasn't going to be, well, I say he wasn't going to be part of the farm. Now, the thing with the farm was, as I say, we used to have these temporary staff that would come in, and they would help out, for the summer months up until usually about December, and then we'd get rid of them, you see. However, if you turned out to be really good, really useful, and a pretty good guy to boot and fitted in and all of that good stuff, it wasn't unthinkable that you wouldn't get a job on the farm, that you would get a job on the farm. And as I say, Matthew was, in my view, a really good lad. He worked sort of hard, he tried to fit in, he did all the right things. And, when we would get assigned with, you've heard me talk about Kerry. Now, Kerry was a summer employee that we took on. And what would happen is they get us, sort of usually get assigned to someone for a week or two, just for us to show them, the ropes and where stuff were, and how we did stuff and what have you. And if when we were working with these people, we thought they were suitable for working on the farm with us full time, we would then go to Adrian, who's farm manager, and say to him, actually, as I did with Kerry and Matthew, to be fair, but I did with Kerry. She was the first one that I sort of did that with, and I said to Adrian, I said, look, she's really good, really, really good. She's very interested in the work, which is something we look for. She was just a good fit for us, or I felt so anyway. And eventually, as I say, that at the end of that year, we took them on. Those that we thought were suitable to be taken on. And Kerry, of course, was, as I say, that year that she worked there, she was one of those people. And now she does my job. Now she's full-time plough woman, really, on the farm. And, she does a very good job. And I'd like to think that I'm partly responsible for that, but I'm sure I'm not. But ploughing was something that I did teach her when, as I say, she was on the farm. Anyway. So this particular year we had. I'll just take it off, James. Why won't that bale come off there? This is farming sim physics again. There we go. That should come off there now. And this particular day, Adrian says to me, this is not a particularly long story. Adrian says to me, he says, James, he says, I want you to work with a lad called Matthew today. So I said, okay. He said, I want you to go up to the boss man's house. Now, the boss man, if Adrian referred to the boss man, essentially you were going to the house of who owned the farm, basically. So there was, I'm careful not to say their names, because they don't want to be mentioned in the videos, but you would go to, his father, I think, or great grandfather or whatever, started the farm and the business and what have you, and anyway, we were going up there, right, and he at his house, he designated, because they lived in a sort of, I don't know, but I think it was massive. I mean, I just think it was a good 10-acre garden they had, with, some of it was like a driveway and what have you, and and they had this paddock field. Say it was about about 10 acres this paddock field was, but it was open, you know, there was no fence around it, you know, and it was, you know, cut like a lawn and looked after, and it was tidy, and it, you know, it was nicely presented as the whole farm was, and what have you, you know, they were a stickler for it, you know, you couldn't get away with shoddy, you know, sort of shoddy looking buildings or anything on the farm. Same with the tractors, you know, that their point was they spent, you know, you know, in my case, you know, nearly just over 500 grand on my big Challenger, and they wanted me to treat it like I'd spent 500 grand on my Challenger, and if I didn't, I would get told, you know, and quite right, you know, and so therefore we appreciated everything, we looked after everything, and you know, in general, we, you know, very apart from the sort of wear and tear breakdowns that you get, you know, mainly on implements, but oh dear me, there we go. You know, we didn't sort of, in theory, I'll tell you what might help. If I spread that right out. See, what I want to do is I was hoping there was going to be, oh, hang on, there's a standing bale. Oh, there's some standing bales up here. I was hoping to get a trailer with just standing bales on, and then I would be able to next load, put on, you know, flip up the other bales, and flip up the other bales, and then stack them on, or even stack them flat like that, you know. But anyway, so I get told, but this is where we're going up there, and we're going, and like, you know, it is paddock field. Yeah, you're going to put a fence all the way around it. Okay, fair enough. Now, while you're up there, Matthew can do the fence because it can be quite, you know, sort of hard work and lifting and different things. So I was like, yeah. He says, but he's got a few things that he wants you to get on with, like he wanted me to cut the grass and, you know, do like his garden. He wanted that row of 8 in and different things. So I was like, oh yeah, okay, I can do that. So takes Matthew up there, and I says to Matthew, I says, right, everything you need for your job. Matthew was going to be the one that would erect the fence, put all the posts up, and then I'd go around and help him with the wiring, you know, putting the wire out. And I said to Matthew, I said, everything you need to do that fence, I said, is in here. He's like, yeah, right. I said, so, you know, I said, no, you know, no issues. I said, everything you need will be in this shed. And he's like, yeah. I said, so I said, if you need anything, you know, you'll have to let me know. So he's like, yeah, I'll be fine. So I was like, you know, oh, good lad, you know, that's what I like to hear, you know. Get on. So anyway, I goes off, you know, cuts the grass, you know. They had a mixture, so some of the lawns you could do with a ride on, and there was a few lawns that you had to do with a push lawnmower because they just weren't big enough for the ride on, so you know, you would walk up and down. But both mowers would have like the, you know, the roll to do the professional stripes, and he always wanted it dead straight. Now I sort of very often got asked to go and cut the grass just because, as I say, I can actually, you know, sort of drive in a relatively straight line by myself, and I can push things in a straight line as well, because some people can't even do that, which, you know, I'm not taking the mick, because, you know, it is a skill, you know, and you know, not everyone can do everything, you know. And so I've been, you know, sort of that morning busy cutting the grass, busy, you know, sort of doing whatever and rotivating, and it come to lunchtime, so I've gone round to where Matthew's working, and I've got up to him, and I was expecting to have seen the posts in the ground, you know, like I genuinely thought by lunchtime, you know, the post would be in the ground, and then in the afternoon we just go wiring, you see, or most of the post would be in the ground, if not all of them. And I thought, you know, I can help him with thingy, yeah, you know, I might struggle to lift them, but I can help him with the drilling and, you know, what have you. So anyway, I goes there, and and I said, Matt, I said, it's dinner time, mate. I said, are you coming for your dinner? He said, yeah. He said, yeah. I said, there's a it was called a potting shed. I said, there's a potting shed down the garden. I said, and we sit in there. So he's like, okay. So I said, we'll sit in there and we'll have dinner in there. I said, we've got everything we need in there. I said, you know, it's no bother. So he's like, yeah. He said, okay. So I said, I'll see you there then, mate. Anyway, I was just about to leave when I realised he hadn't got no posters up. Sorry, he was messing about with. No, he hadn't got no posters up. That was it. So I went back to you know, to the potting shed for my dinner and what have you, and he came down there. So I said, how you getting on? He said, cool. He says, hard work, innit? I said, is it? He said, yeah. He said, like, you know, doing the holes. He said, what I would plan to do was, I said, yeah. He said, I plan to do a hole, put a post in, do a hole, put a post in. And I said, yeah, that's pretty much the way I'd do it. So he said, yeah. He said, but he said, like, I had to give up. I said, why? He said, well, I couldn't get the post to stand upright while I, you know, sort of got the hammer to hammer it in, the sledgehammer. I said, sledgehammer? He's like, yeah. I said, what the hell are you using the sledgehammer for? So he said, well, put a post in. He said, like, you got to hammer it in the ground, didn't you? And I said, hammer it into the ground? He said, yeah. I said, well, could you not just use the post machine? And he sort of looked at me and he went, post machine? I said to him, I said, you are using the post machine, aren't you? And he's like, goes, well, I've got a spade. He said, and I'm digging the hole. And then I said, what? I said, gee. I said, no. I said, no. I said, we'll have lunch. I said, I'll show you how you want to do it. I said, that's going to take you years to do it that way. I said, I'll bet he wants that done today so that he can get his bloody horses or ponies or whatever it was that he was going to have. I think he ended up having ponies for his granddaughter. But I said, he'll want that done today. I said, like, you know, he won't want us messing about down here too long. He don't like us up here. I said, he likes us if he needs us to come in, get done what we need to do in one day and be gone again and not seen again. I said, like, I bet he's been having a bloody laugh at you. I said, you got to show me what you've been doing. I said, no, I'll put him anyway. What he'd been doing was he'd been digging these holes out with a post, with a spade, sorry. And I said, so why are you struggling with the post then? And I knew why and how he was struggling, but I wanted to see it because I wanted to laugh, right? I wanted a good laugh, right? So anyway, he gets the post and he sort of gets the post and he sort of holding it both hands. He puts it down in the hole where he's putting it, and then he sort of swivels it round a few times to try and get the point of the post to sort of dig a little bit into the ground so that he can then let go of the post, then pick up his hammer to hammer the post in. Well, every time he let go of the post, the post used to fall forward. And then, like, and he'd go, see what I mean? And, well, I couldn't stop. I must have been laughing for about, I don't know, I'm probably still laughing subconsciously now. It was the funniest thing I've seen in my life. And I said to him, I said, Jesus Christ, Matt. I said, did you not notice the skid steer in there? So he goes, yeah. I said, did you not think to use it? He said, well, I didn't think I'd be allowed to. I said, well, it's in there. I said, like, you know, if it's in there, we can use it. So he said, well, what does that do? I said, well, there's a skid steer in there. I said, and there's a nice clever contraption that one of the lads has sort of made. I said, where it's a post hole driller. I said, but at the same time, I said, it also holds the post in on the front of it, so when you finish drilling the hole, you literally back up, lower it down. I said, so as it holds the post in. I said, and then go get your little garden tractor. I said, that's got a post hammerer. I said, then bring that over us and then just hammer the post down into the thing and just keep going along. So he said, oh yeah, he goes, that sounds easy. So I said, oh, honestly, mate, I said, it's a revelation. I said, like, you'd never believe they've invented such stuffs. I said, especially, you know, when someone clever realised that doing it with a spade and trying to balance a post before you could grab the hat. I said, come on. I said, I'll help you this afternoon. I said, I got all my jobs done, I think. I said, I'll help you. So anyway, I helped him that afternoon, and we sort of got on quite rapid in the end. But no, it was funny. Honestly, I just couldn't help but laugh. It was just the funniest thing I have ever seen in my bloody life. You know, him sort of trying to hold the post, sort of screw the post into the ground a little bit, and because when I got the post driller out, or the hole driller for the posts out, and on the little skid steer that we had, and he said, "Do you know what?" He said, "I looked at that and thought, what the hell do they use that corkscrew for?" And I said to him, I said, "Look, mate," I said, "I know I'm laughing." I said, "I know it's funny to me." I said, "But if you don't know, you don't know." I said, "And there's no shame in not knowing." And he's sort of looking at me, and he says, "Well," he said, "there is, because you're taking a mick out of me." And I said, "No, no, no." I said, "I'm having a little laugh, yeah." I said, "You know, yeah, I am." I said, "In the same way that I very much hope that if I did something really stupid, I said that you would laugh at me." I said, "Because I said, like, I just find it funny." I said, like, you know, if I'm doing something stupid, I said, and they laugh at me all the time in a workshop, because I'm here trying to do something really complicated, and they go, "Nah, you just use this, do that, and it's done, look." And he's like, "Oh, you know, how did I not?" You know, I said, and they take the mick out of me. I said, "It's fine." I said, like, you know, I said, I'm here, I'm laughing, I'm giggling and that. I said, but I can take it back. I said, so if I'm doing something silly and you're looking and you're thinking, what an absolute, you know, geriatric ginger, you know, Wally, you know, do you know what I mean? Like, I said, like, you take the mick and you laugh and you all that business. I said, like, and, you know, I said, like, I'll laugh along with you, sort of thing. I said, like, don't get upset. I said, like, you know, because I'm not laughing to be mean or anything like that. I said, you know, I said, like, I'll help you this afternoon. I said, like, we'll get it done. And as it was, we got it done in the afternoon. And of course the boss man came out, who owned the farm, and he said, finally someone with a bit of sense. And I said, well, if you don't know, you don't know. I said, I'm not being funny. I said, but if you were stood in the house watching him, I said, like, and watching him struggle, I said, then more for you in a way. I said, because you're paying him to struggle. I said, when you could just come out and say to him, oh, by the way, you know, you want to use the hole driller and the, you know, the post knocker, as we used to call it. But, you know, so I said, like, you know, rather than, you know, I said, yeah, I'm having a bit of a giggle with him. I said, but I am helping him, and I'm showing him, you know, sort of where he's going wrong and, you know, what he needs to do and that. And I sort of, like, you know, sort of stuck up for him a bit. I mean, the good thing with our bosses was, yeah, you know, I mean, like Adrian, I mean, you know, I'm a fairly sort of easygoing, placid kind of guy. I don't really take much too serious, don't really get too upset by anything, not really. And but, you know, we'd have a good row sometimes. You know, sometimes we you know, we'd have a good fallout. But, you know, next morning at work, you know, morning Adrian, just crack on with the day, do you know what I mean? That was yesterday, you know. And you know, he was very much a believer of that, and I was very much a believer of that. What was said and happened yesterday was yesterday, you know, and today you move on. Yeah, I mean, I'm the sort of person, like, you know, this, and again, you know, and I'm not mentioning to be mean or anything, but same with my ex, you know. If we were to have a row, you know, she would want to carry that on for 4 days, whereas after half hour, and I've sort of, you know, had to think about things a little bit, you know, I'd sort of go back in and say, oh, you know, well, you know, if I kind of sort of think, actually, you know, I was probably wrong there, do you know what I mean? Like, I'd go in and I'd say, right, you know, I apologise, I've had to think about it, you know, but she still wouldn't speak to me for 2 or 3 days, and in the end, that's what kind of got me, and I just thought, I ain't putting up with this. Life's too short to not be speaking to each other, you know, and as I say, like, but yeah, that was the story that came to mind when I was doing the when I was laying the fence posts on Riverbed Springs. Did I put 2 bales there? No, I just didn't get that one very far across. Oh well. We can solve that one, and that should hold that a tree. You definitely wouldn't be going down a road like it, but it'll be alright. This is farming sim. I can get away with stuff like this. Right, anyway, this video's gone on for 45 minutes. It was not meant to go on for 45 minutes. I hope you've enjoyed it. As I say, every now and again, when I think of a sort of a funny thing that happens at work or whatever, I'll sort of, rather than doing, sort of a chatty video or 2-3 chatty videos a week, I'll just sort of kind of, when I think of something and I think it might be amusing to say, I'll sort of give a chatty video. But as I say, next time when we come back onto this series, the bales will be cleared in all the fields, but we can then get on with some ploughing, and that will be a ploughing episode. I will time lapse most of it, so you don't have to sit through it, but it will be a ploughing episode. But anyway, thanks ever so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the episode, and if you have, give it a thumbs up. If you consider me worthwhile listening to, or enjoy, as I say, the content, consider maybe subscribing. It's free to do so. You just have to press the little black button, I think it is, or little red button, or whatever it is down there, and then you'll be notified of when I drop a video, which is usually every 3 PM every day. Usually is a video every day, and I look forward to seeing you in my videos. But anyway, as for now, thanks ever so much for watching. I've really enjoyed having your company, and I can't wait to see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.